Hello, everyone. This is your host, Dr. Tomi Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Eric Gilbert. He is a Christian leader and an anxiety coach who empowers individuals to overcome fear and live with purpose through a unique blend of biblical wisdom and proven psychological strategies. With over 15 years of experience in marriage and family therapy, he specializes in helping people break free from anxiety and build resilient, faith-centered lives. His mission is to guide others through lasting transformation by combining faith, clinical insight, and compassionate coaching. With no further ado, welcome to the show, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Mitchell. It's
Oh, my
exciting to be here
pleasure.
with you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Is there anything you'd like our listeners to know about you so they can really understand the heart of where our conversation goes?
Sure, yeah, I could tell a little bit.
Yeah,
So
please.
I grew up in the Midwest
Okay.
around Chicago, and
Oh,
now
Chi-Town.
yeah, Chi-Town, that was
Oh,
me.
yeah.
So love to go to the city, the big city for the weekends, everything like that. Love the Bulls. I got to see Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all them in the heyday. That was
Oh,
awesome. Yeah, that was a dream team, you know?
awesome. Yes,
Uh,
the dream team.
So I now live in Jacksonville, Florida. My
Mhm.
wife and I have been married. We're coming up on 12 years now, and we
Nice.
have two little girls, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old. So our lives are very full. It can get stressful. I'm not going to lie to you, just like all the noise and trying to figure out how to navigate family life, business. My
Mm,
wife's a dentist. She's going to specialize to be an orthodontist. So she's gone
yeah.
back to the university. So being able to say, in the midst of all this noise, all these things going on, what does it look like to have peace? What does
Yeah.
it look like to have purpose? What does it look like to be selective and purposeful in our times or have meaningful relationships with my family and not just talk a good talk with the people I work with, but try to be able to demonstrate this on a daily basis. And
Mm.
a lot of that comes from my faith as well. So I'm also a man of faith. I go to church, and God really changed my life in my college years. And I'm just grateful to be holding on to that ever since that time.
What a beautiful story. And I want to second that for my listeners, especially those who are newer to the podcast, is like, I also am a woman of faith. And for those who obviously know me, know I talk a lot about burnout. And there's a recent analogy I use about the three stools. And I recently added the struts. So when I talk about burnout, exhaustion, how much weight your life can carry, responsibilities,
Hmm.
we need to have three strong legs, okay? And those three legs represent three critical relationships. And there's a fourth one, which we'll talk about at the end to tie up your comment. The first one is relationship with yourself. That's your beliefs and identity, your past experiences, your thoughts, your dreams, your fears, all that messaging that's been packaged since childhood, in some cases from the womb. And the second relationship is with significant other or close
Hmm.
confidant. For you, it's your wife of 12 years, and then obviously your two little princesses are part of that too, but ultimately it's your wife.
Yeah.
And then third, work in society. So when all those three legs are strong, we're able to deal with the weight and stresses of life. However, there's a
Mhm.
fourth piece, which, I added, which I didn't have in my TEDx talk recently, but I added it later and I made it more clear. That fourth piece, yes, is part of the relationship with the self, but ultimately it stands on its own. And that's the struts that hold the legs together. And that's faith. That's
Hmm.
God. That's
Yeah.
it's Yahweh. It's whoever you believe in. But for us as Christians, it's Jehovah, it's God, right?
Yeah.
And He is the one that helps strengthen you, even when the relationship with self is going through challenges, significant other
Mm.
goes through challenges, whether stages of life, like having kids. I always tell my patients, when you have kids, your relationship will get tested. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
As much as we like to say kids are wonderful, they are such a blessing. I have two princesses too myself. They
Oh,
are,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, but they can definitely bring out challenges that have been kind of ignored. Or if you don't find time to strengthen that relationship, focus solely on the children, then also that brings its
Mhm.
challenges too. So just FYI. And then obviously the relationship with work, all that plays. So it's like this dance that we all have to be aware of. Things are not in little cute boxes as much as Pinterest and Instagram posts like
Yes.
to make us think that, oh, this is this box and that box and this box. No, they're connected. They feed on each other. The way we show up in
Mhm.
life at work is impacted by how we feel about ourselves and what was the last conversation with our partner, right?
Mhm.
All those things impact us. So I just want to just also say, yes, faith is important. And that is also one of the pieces of the wellness wheel, which we talked about before we started the show.
Mhm.
Part of wellness is not just physical, emotional, spiritual is also there. So with that, Eric, feel free to lead as you choose to, like speak your truth.
Yeah. That's tremendous. I love what you're saying with the stool analogy with the legs, and then also the way I was envisioning the faith component is
Yeah.
kind of the holster, the seat itself that kind
Yes.
of reaches in that faith with God, like the seat, right, is even wider than the legs itself. Like God,
Mhm.
I think a huge part of faith is being able to say, ultimately, as much as I might learn or become capable of, or I can grow myself, that God still can reach way beyond that and be
100%.
able to intervene in my life and my loved ones beyond what I could do by my own strength. And so leaning in on the hard days, the exhausting days,
Hmm.
um, and being able to trust it, that His sufficiency is going to be able to cover anything that I might be lacking or needing in that day.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So,
The other part that I was thinking about was just what you're saying with the marriage and the kids, and
mhm.
I don't know how old your kids are. My two little
Five and
ones are
seven. Five and
five
seven.
and seven.
So
Yeah.
young.
Does it get a little sweeter? Does it get a little bit better when school starts happening, or how does that go?
Oh, you get a little bit more sleep, but it's more involved, actually. Because now
Hmm.
you have to deal with friends, no friends,
Yeah.
feelings, school homework. But at the end of the day, they're still cuddly little babies that want to be held and hugged and snuggling your bed. Hug and kiss, night prayer, all that stuff is there, but it's
Hmm.
supercharged. They're aware of it. You can't just be like, we're just gonna skip that step tonight. Oh no, you're not.
Right.
You are not gonna skip that step tonight. You're gonna give me 20 hugs and 5,000 kisses. Okay? So,
Mhm.
and then pray, mommy, you forgot to pray, pray, mommy. And then you have to get up.
Right. They don't just get those steps. They want that
Yes,
time.
exactly. So it just gets more
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, with my little girls, my oldest has just started preschool and everything,
Mm.
and in that midst of that transition, I'm the one that usually drives her to school and everything, and we're
Mhm.
coming up on summertime now. But I'll usually have to get both girls ready, get them in the car, take them with me, and everything like that. And if I'm not careful, those little moments, right,
Mm-hmm.
when I took her into school, for me, it's about like a 15 or 20-minute drive sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I'm not careful with my time and being intentional, I can easily get into listening to the news or being able to put on some
Yeah.
music or just default mode. And I had a little moment with my youngest. Her name is Joy, and
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like a sweet moment. I finally got back from dropping my oldest Bexy off at school, and for Joy, I was getting her out of the car with like her seatbelt and stuff like that. And sometimes you can just sense when your child isn't quite ready to transition
Yeah.
yet. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I want a moment. And so as I was taking the seatbelt off, she kind of just leaned in. And I leaned in towards her and gave her a little bit of a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a kisser now. I don't know if one of your daughters is a kisser, but
Oh, she is a kisser. They both are, but
some
especially the younger one.
it's funny
Mm-hmm.
because my wife and I are like, we'll never kiss our kids on the lips because of the germs and bacteria and all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. But my youngest, Joy, she just wants to lean right in towards it. So she
Mm-hmm.
gave me a kiss as I was
Yeah.
taking her seatbelt off. And a lot of stress, anxiety, things like that, is we get so fixated, ruminated in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
At least I know I do a lot of to-dos or what could go wrong
Yeah.
or catastrophizing things. This thing is off in my life, so I can't enjoy this. I can't allow myself to really lean into this moment because I got to survive. I got to be able to make it through or make the wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not careful, we just miss out on those little moments that are all around us from what we have been given.
100%. You're very right because there'll be bills, there'll be jobs, there'll be responsibilities, but those pressures, literally for our kids, 2 minutes to them is like a
Hmm.
whole hour sometimes. Just that connection, that knowing that you're loved, and knowing that, like in psychology, we know that most of our communication is nonverbal. That hug
Hmm.
and that kiss, that squeeze of the hand, that
Yeah.
look into their eyes, that I love you, that sense of pride. It's so important for our kids and shaping their minds so that they grow up feeling confident within themselves because you've modeled it,
Hmm.
confident in what a loving environment is because again you've modeled it, and then as they get older and more curious and more verbal and expressive, having them be comfortable sharing what they see at preschool or walking down the street or whatever it is, and just being open and non-judgmental. Let them just speak, right? Children are
Yeah.
meant to be
Yeah.
heard and seen, right? They are
Mm.
so precious. They're such a gift. Um,
Sometimes that question comes in, right? Of,
oh
well,
yeah.
what if I didn't get that when I was a child? You know?
Oh, for
What?
us?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, 100%. You know, my kids don't have the life I had. Hugs and kisses and all this. I don't know. When I was a kid, we didn't dare say we don't agree. Okay, that was like mutiny. We want to live to another day, man.
Right, yeah.
And all this,
There's no
like,
harsh
okay,
response. It was
all
good
right.
enough.
I'm just like, okay, deep breath in, go in their level. Hi, sweetheart. I know you're feeling really upset. Can we talk about it? Like, I didn't get that. I kind of repeat what I got.
Yeah. And so that's the challenge, right? Is like, how do we make that transition? And sometimes with Courageous Calling, I'm working with a lot of men, moms that are
Mhm.
struggling around. Oh, I never got that. I turned out okay. I did my
No, you
best,
didn't.
Right. Yeah, kind of being able to look it in the face and see the cost of the stuff we went
No,
through.
there was definite
Right.
cost and there was definite losses. Trust me. Some people get it later on and heal, others don't. They go down sadly a dark path. So
What
we
helped you in your capacity with that, Dr. Mitchell, if you don't mind me asking? Like,
capacity with
what
which one?
with being able to say, okay, even if my parents didn't allow for me to express some of my
Oh,
emotions or say no, like what will allow me to be able to be different with my kids? What will help me to expand into this and not
well,
just go default mode?
yeah. Upbringing is a big one. My parents grew up in a different generation, a different, total different world than I did. And then
Mhm.
also my experiences. I'm a lifelong nerd. Before I even had children, I was reading on parenting and how to be a good parent.
Yeah, that's
Whether
awesome.
it was like, what was that book? The Five Love Languages of Children and other books I read as a child. It really helped me with those concepts that I just didn't know what they were. Because I had to live vicariously through books, I think. I don't think my childhood was all roses and flowers. Though there are pictures of roses and flowers in the background, but inside they weren't. And also
Mhm.
knowing that I get to shape their lives, that
Mhm.
them knowing that they're loved unconditionally will help them make better choices with partner
Yeah.
down the road and other things in life, be able to stand up, speak their truth. I just want them to be vessels of grace, goodness, love,
Hmm.
integrity, and building my babies up is so important. So I'm able to just move past that. Yes, I might not have those things growing up, but my love for my children is truly unconditional. It's not a
Hmm.
matter of the grades you got or this or that. It is because I wanted you. You were wanted. I would give my life for you, and I've almost had to. I did. In both pregnancies, I almost didn't make it. So it's not
Wow.
just figure of
Right.
speech. It's like, no, legit. And I would do it again in a heartbeat for you.
Wow.
So, and
Wow.
I've made sacrifices in my career, because of my children. So it's a lived experience. And then I got to make purpose from my own pain, right? Like I was saying
Mhm.
before we started this podcast, that many of us go into these fields because they've touched us in certain ways, because it's very personal. I'm very passionate and I see through the noise and I cut to the chase and I don't do the sugarcoating. We just speak the truth. And that's what gets people's attention is the truth
Absolutely.
and gets
Yeah.
transformation. It's not fluff, it's the truth.
Hmm.
Truth sells,
Right.
right?
Yeah, the truth sets you free,
Yeah.
you really get to face it.
Mm.
And, for me, with growing up, and I have two brothers, but I was never around little kids much. It was kind of like our family. And when I got to be an adult, it wasn't like I had a lot of cousins or anything like that.
Mm.
I come from a
Yep.
very small family. And so I kind of had an idea in my mind what it's going to be like as a dad, as a parent, having kids, all those things. And then there's this reality of like, whoa, this is a lot. This is stressful. I thought I'd be able to give them 10 seconds of like time, attention, and then be able to calm down. Sometimes it's I'm 10 minutes into this and I
Oh,
still don't have a
yeah.
son,
Sometimes it's an hour.
being able to say, well, how can I learn those components of what you're saying of what do I really see as my role, my responsibility, my calling in this?
Mm-hmm.
So that way I don't get worn out or weary or is resentful towards my spouse or towards my
Mm-hmm.
kids for the way that they're acting or think that I have such little brats or anything like that. How do I help myself to be able to lean in rather than like try to get away
Mm-hmm.
from my family? Even if my kids are having a bad day or if things are not going right or somebody spilled the milk all over the countertop
Mm-hmm.
and I just got done cleaning up the cereal?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to help with those things. A lot of what I do is I'll help clients with resetting like their autonomic nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful practice because a lot of times when we get into these loops, right, of I'm used to being stressed, I'm used to reminding myself of the things in my life that are wrong, I'm used to waking up, getting on my phone, doing the same like activities that get my brain wired
Yep.
to go, 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 get the dopamine hits, get my sugar food, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That if I just give myself a tool to say, here's a stress management tool, do
Yeah.
this, it's going to help temporarily, right?
Yes.
But what's going to help me with my actual attachment with my children, my actual sense of presence as a person,
Yes.
of how I feel on the inside, kind of like you're talking about that stool, right? With that
Mm-hmm.
leg, what's my
Mm-hmm.
personal relationship with myself? Do I
Yes.
keep on this voice of being a critic to myself, of like,
Mm.
oh, Eric, you could have said that better, or you should have been able to do this with your kids? Do I turn into the worrier? What could go wrong? Do I turn into the victim? Oh, everybody's just out to get me and no one understands me. And my family doesn't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
Or do I try to create this voice that's more of like a best friend?
Mm.
The person that's willing to tell the truth, even when it's
Yes.
painful. It's like,
Yeah.
Eric, you really blew it with your
Mm-hmm.
daughter. Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, like, why would you give her that push away when she needed you close, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And
Yep.
being able to call myself out on it while also not making that criticism, but more of that place of presence with myself to
Mm-hmm.
say, let me learn how to reset my autonomic nervous system. So I'm not so high strung, so I'm not so quick to jump right into attack mode,
Exactly.
fight or flight mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that I can have those practices, whether it's through breathing or meditation or presence, to be able to say, even when all my kids are playing off, I don't know if your daughters do this, right? But my two, one starts crying,
The
the
other
other
one's
starts
the,
crying.
oh yeah.
The double down. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of gets from bad to worse
Mm-hmm.
way before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so my nervous system is so has wired from before so much towards stress and wanting things calm and peaceful and predictable and routine that having toddlers was like throwing gasoline like on this
And
like
you grew
so
up with boys, so you
yeah,
have brothers. So this is a big difference, these modern day princesses.
that's right. Yes. Their big emotions, their
Oh yes, they're
special
feeling
feelings, their strong
out
preferences.
lower lip. Oh,
I know.
mm, mm, quiver.
Um,
Not the quiver, not the
yeah,
tear.
yes. Um, so being able to realize when those things are happening, those things that they're doing, that it's not a crime. I couldn't just, my goal shouldn't just be for them to stop or to go away, but to be able to say, my focus can be on myself and how I'm reacting. What does
Mm,
it look like to bring presence to them? And as you train your nervous system more with your vagus nerve and other places, and these somatic exercises, you're able to have it so you're not going to just keep going to that same, I get to a 10 every time this happens, right? Now
yes,
it's more like I might hit a 5, but
yes,
that 5 feels so much more controllable
yes.
because I like to think of it. Do you like to work out, Dr. Mitchell? Do you
I
like working?
do. I go to the
Nice.
gym, I walk, I move. I also
Yeah, you look so
walk in the
healthy.
mall. Mall walking is
Walking
very
them all
good,
nice.
y'all. It's good therapy. And buying stuff helps, build those muscles, those bakes.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. This autonomic nervous system training, right? There's a component of being able to do like vagal toning, like our vagus
Mm.
nerve, things like that, where I can do these breathing exercises and stuff. I'm not a person that grew up loving meditation, right? I was
Oh yeah,
not
me
the
too.
person that loved quiet or stillness all the
Mm.
time. Like I said, I had two brothers, so we were always bouncing around playing games,
Mm.
messing around. And then my mind was constantly going. So I didn't necessarily love the quiet of stillness and all those kind of things. But I started to realize the power of breath, the power of being able to develop my vagus nerve by doing these kind of exercises. And a lot of them can be movements too, right? But the same way that we work up our muscles, I remember in high school still when I first started doing bench press.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
strange. It felt shaky. It felt like, what am I
Mm-hmm.
doing? This wobbly bar. Like I didn't have good
Mm-hmm.
form, nothing like that. But the idea was not to give up just because it wasn't smooth or I couldn't lift much weight. The idea was to train, to be able to
Exactly.
make myself stronger, better at it, you know? And the same way that now, like if we're doing a workout, we're using weights, that kind of stuff, we know how to control and move those things because we trained our body in it. If I train myself how to handle stress properly, then I'm able to be able to move and be flexible and present with my loved ones or be able to take the pressure of a job or a change in career or with my wife going back to school and
Yeah,
not freak out on everybody, you know?
100%. So, to those who are listening who maybe struggle with those going 0 to 100, it is possible
Mhm.
to calm yourself down. It is possible to train your autonomic nervous system. And that practice is going to help you with yourself, relationship with your significant other, and being at work. And I like how you talked about the gym. Some people go into the gym hoping that they're just gonna just, you know, bench, I don't know, 200 pounds, whatever, 300 pounds right off the bat. It's like,
Yes,
good
yes.
luck, buddy. You got to experience the bar shake or even like
Mhm.
some of the more isolated machines. Like you have to go through the stages of
Yes.
growth. Your muscles aren't going to just say, okay, I got it. No, you have to build those muscles. You have to strain those muscles. You have to sometimes tear tiny fibers in a controlled
Mhm.
way. You have to pause. You have to give yourself time to rest between, muscle, whether it's leg day, upper body day, whatever. You have to give yourself time to rest. And the same thing with our spiritual mind and our emotional mind. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself compassion. It
Mhm.
has to be a recharge, reset, and then you keep on going. You have to have momentum, but you have to, there's
Yeah,
still a pause in momentum. It's not
exactly. And that's a
zero to
lot
a
of
hundred.
the journey, right? It can be tough. And like you're saying, there's different seasons. Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
get really motivated. Some days we're like, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And that's why I designed like the Faith Over Fear program is being able to help men or women in this 10-week journey of
Mm.
being, say, I've had it up to here with my stress and anxiety, and I've been wanting to make changes, but I get started and then I stop, or I get in
Yeah.
my head again, or I get back into my phone, or work calls me away into things, or this unexpected event occurs. With Faith Over Fear, it's about being able to have a clear path forward. I get to work with a lot of people and being able to like see the progress as we go and labor through things. And there's also like a brotherhood. There's a collaboration of people coming together so that way you can help to spur each other on to feel like there's this collaboration. There's an ability to be in the trenches with each other, even through the dry or the heavy seasons.
Yeah, that's important. The collaboration, the accountability buddies, the mastermind, all that is important. I don't believe in life we're meant to do this alone. We are
Mhm.
designed for community. We are designed to support each other. And also, it, the people that you surround yourself with have a huge impact on your life. So pick choosely,
Yes.
pick wisely, right? Um,
Right.
I
Yeah,
have
that whole phrase of like, show me the five people that are
Wi-Fi.
close to you, and
I'll
I'll show
show you.
you who you are, right?
It's very true. It is so true. And if you're used to hanging around a bunch of buddies that are very loud, obnoxious, and 0 to 100 and ho 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 ho
Hmm.
crass, you're
Hmm.
trying to calm things down at home and be more relaxed. You may need to look at your circle. Not may, you do, because that is impacting you, right? If you're really serious about this, you'll have to look at it. But I also like how you have in your program, you have you know, a group where you guys connect or people in the program connect together and lean on each other. But it's not
Yeah.
something we learn in isolation. We are designed for community. We are designed for brotherhood, sisterhood. That is
Hmm.
important. We're not meant to be lonely.
Absolutely. Yeah, that you remind me of a time with in college in particular. Um, I had grown up going to church. That was my experience. My
Hmm.
parents, thank God they actually wanted to practice and live out what they said they believe, right? So
Hmm.
they were sincere in their faith with Christ.
Hmm.
The hard part was my friends, my peers. I was going to like a private school up through middle school.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you got to be around people like this, but it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go church on Sunday and then chapel on Wednesday, and then I'm going to do whatever the F I want on Friday
Hmm.
night. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So a lot of that was the norm, especially around my guy friends,
Hmm.
middle school and high school. And so I had to have a very sobering time in college where I started to do that party scene for myself and those same habits. And I'm like, oof, I've been internalizing this stuff. And then
Yeah.
I had actually a atheist professor that called us out, like as a class, and said, you can believe what you want to believe, but if somebody just looks at your lifestyle, would they be able to really know what your faith is about?
I love it. He called you out. That's
I
good.
did like hardcore, and it just like
Seriously, it's like I don't
continued
believe in
to
God, but tell me you guys are full on your BS train.
right.
You
So I
guys are
needed that real talk.
full caca.
Yeah, it was a full-on challenge, that
Oh
truth
yeah.
that we talked about that we need. And so the good thing is he called it out, and then he also gave a way to have a path forward. So you didn't just
That's
stay stuck.
good. That's good. Gave you grace. It's like
Yeah.
now, yeah. Now it's like I called you out, now choose. Okay?
Yeah. So it was a
Mhm.
lot of existentialism, the ability to look at what do you really believe? What's it mean for you to be authentic with what you believe and not just try to conform what other people expect from you, those kind of things. And so through my college years, I got that experience where I got to experience more of like being with the living God, with Yahweh, like you said. And that just shook me to the core where I was like, this is what I want. And I don't know what it's going to mean for all these friends that I've known all the way back from second grade.
Mm.
No, I got to be with God because this is real. And so that was kind of like the make or break moment for me, kind of like you're saying, sometimes you got to take inventory of your friends and who the
Yep.
five people are to you, where I had to be able to say, I don't want to lose these friends, but if they're purposely not going to understand my relationship I have with God now and they're going to interfere with that, then I have to let them go.
100%. In my TEDx talk, I talk about your one's relationships must be in alignment with one's vision for your life.
Hmm.
When we
Yeah.
talk about burnout, it's when the relationships, those three critical relationships plus the fourth, is not in alignment. So with you, you have a vision of your life. You want your life to be in alignment with biblical principles that you've set forth, that you've been challenged to, that you believe. And then you have to take stock at what you're doing, when no one's watching, your thoughts
Hmm.
with your close confidants, because that then there was no wife, it was your buddies, most likely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
you're right.
all right, and then work. And then
Hmm.
when you take inventory, make changes while looking at the North Star, looking at the vision, that's when magic, beautiful things happen. Things have to fall in
Hmm.
line. And it takes maturity. It takes,
Hmm.
some people are able to do it and willing to do it, others refuse. They're like, no, I'm not gonna give up that friend because we've been best friends since kindergarten. But that's the smoking friend, that's the drinking friend, that's the womanizer friend,
Yep.
that's the all the above friend, cursed like a sailor, and you want to live a certain life. Sorry, buddy, it's not gonna
Hmm.
work, right? Because
Yeah, and my wife and I've had real conversations like this too, because she's that kind of person, ride or die. She's with you. She wants to be loyal. She wants to be able to hear what you're going through.
hmm
Um, but she's had, so my wife grew up in Peru and Lima, South
hmm
America, and so she's had friends all the way from back then, like in kindergarten.
hmm
And her really close friend Charlotte got into this very dysfunctional marriage
hmm
where the guy was just emotionally abusive, basically everything but physically
Everything.
abusive,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and it got to the point where I'm like, look, there's a cycle. And she was noticing it for herself too. She just didn't want to necessarily acknowledge it, that she's just keep reaching out to you and she's trying to get comfort, she's trying to get assurance, she's trying to get a listening ear, but she's
hmm
not changing. She's keeping
Exactly.
here, you know?
hmm
And we had to talk through as a couple because I think there's a lot of strength within marriage in this way. I've seen a lot in my life where I'm doing things I never would have done if I was single by myself in a good way, where
hmm
like my life is being able to be a business owner and leadership and employees and all that has come forth because of my marriage and my wife believing in me and talking with me through things. But I was able to talk with her in this case with Charlotte and just kind of say, well, what does it look like to not keep the cycle going anymore?
Mm.
Maybe it's being able to help yourself take a step back so she has to evaluate and not just get the comfort from these phone calls.
Yes.
And then, thank God that she has been able to move on from that relationship. I wish they would say fully divorced, but they're at least separated and he's not
Mm.
interfering with her life anymore. And they have kids together and everything too, which makes it extra messy. But being able to say, I don't need to stay, it's not pleasing to God to stay in all the dysfunction and damage
No, it's not.
kids just
And
for
it's
the
not
title.
good for the kids at all to be around that. So yeah, I that's good. I think when your wife stepped away, she did her friend a fa like a favor or whatever, because then your friend had to find strength from within and actually
Hmm.
decide, am I going to take some advice and actually not just look at this and say, oh, that looks nice and not do anything? Or am I actually
Yeah.
going to take empowered action with faith and do it, even though it may feel uncomfortable and it would.
Yeah.
But look at the bigger picture. What's your bigger goal? Happiness or misery? Safety
Yeah.
of your children? Or
And my wife was clear too, like, hey, when you're ready to take this action, you're ready to make the move of what's best for you. I'm here to support you. Like, I'm still your friend. I
Mhm.
just can't keep the conversations going the same way they have been in the same cycle.
Yeah, that reminds me of a situation I had. years ago in a workplace that I left, a whole system, like I completely moved because I felt like I was in this system, health system, talking about positive changing, wanting positive changes,
Hmm.
but the system didn't want to change. And I'm like, if I continue
Mm.
being here, propping, giving my blood, sweat, and tears, I'm just perpetuating this problem. So I took myself out, and I'm not saying the system magically changed, but they did. Conversations started happening because I
Mm.
left, because I was a
Yes.
big part of it. And they
Yes.
realized, holy crap, I don't know how far they've come. I wish them all the
Hmm.
best, but you have to stop. We have to see if we're enabling people or groups of people,
Hmm.
even though it may
Hmm.
come from a good place, place of care. But I'm very sure that after your wife had those conversations with her friend over and over, it took some of her energy. It
Hmm.
drained
Yeah.
her
Yeah, absolutely.
mentally. It impacted at least the first initial conversation she had with you or with the kids if they were around at that age. You know what I mean? Because we are energy. Like we give, we take. But if you're next to someone I call like an energy vampire or a system that's an energy vampire or a workplace that's an energy vampire that's constantly
Hmm.
sucking you, you're
Hmm.
gonna feel that impact. And that same you is gonna take that little you to the next conversation with your partner. Like, hey, I'm here again. I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm nice and crusty and miserable. Don't
Right. Yeah,
don't come
exactly.
near
Won't you
me.
join me in this, you know?
It's like, kid, you spilt
Yeah.
your milk again. What's wrong with you? Can't you do anything
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That's what happens.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah. It
guarding
reminds me a
mechanism.
lot of one of my clients I work with. I'll call him Robert. For
Mm-hmm.
him, he was just in that kind of work environment where he cared a lot about his employees, right? He's like a manager, he's like the lead
Yeah.
guy, and he's involved with like anesthesiology and things like that. But the system, the company was so much like the um, penny pushers watching
Mm-hmm.
just like the numbers on paper that they didn't really care about the culture of the company. They didn't
Yeah.
necessarily care about actually properly compensating employees so they could be more present with their work and
Mm.
present with their family and things like that outside of there. So he was, I told him at times I felt like he was a magician trying to
Mm-hmm.
make everything work when they were giving him nothing. You know, he's getting him
Mm-hmm.
scraps and he's making a full-on meal for his employees. But
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, he is realizing I've done so much for this. I've led the team and the culture so far, and they kept doing independent contractors who would get like certain hours here and there,
Mm-hmm.
rather than being able to actually properly reward full-time employees.
Mm-hmm.
So he would hire people, and he'd find great people and create a great culture, and then the people would end up being like, "I'm not getting paid enough full-time here to continue."
Mm-hmm.
So he had this revolving door because of that
Mm-hmm.
culture. And he
Yeah.
had to be able to make a hard choice. We talked through some of the conversations. What can you actually say to corporate, to your boss's boss, that's not going to necessarily get you instantly in trouble, but it's going to help them to reflect on the system that they've built and what would actually be beneficial. And so he had a number of these conversations with them. I would love to tell you that it instantly changed their mind and everything. Corporate's corporate, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They did make some tweaks, but he soon saw through the cracks and was able to say, "I can't continue in this position anymore."
And
In good
gracefully bow
conscience.
out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It's not good for my family. It's not good enough for the patients. It's not good enough for this practice.
Exactly. And something I say is sometimes the greatest act of self-care is knowing when to let go.
Mm,
And that's
yeah,
him realizing that he's done everything he can. He's talked to people he needs to talk to. He's compromised. He's been patient. He's been case studies. There's been one employee after another revolving door.
yeah.
And corporate's like, la 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 la.
Right. They just don't want to
Right?
see it.
And
They
they're
don't like
like,
watching the numbers on the screen.
right, as they're getting increasing their own bonuses and doing all these things, benefit like putting money into independent contractors, but not putting money into their home, which is the workplace home, and charity
Right.
begins at home. With this, was your friends or this clients do right to say, you know what, I'm out. Don't burn bridges,
Mhm.
but with all due respect, he has to be in a place that aligns with his values, and he appreciates the time
Absolutely.
spent, appreciates the work done, but he has to go. And that's because if he stayed, he'll just enable it. He'll just perpetuate. That company needs to feel the
Mhm.
pain of him not being there.
Exactly.
They
Yeah,
need to
that voice.
feel that because this is staying.
Yeah. And guess
That's
how
why
he's doing now?
pardon
He's
me?
got a new job. He's
Yeah,
got this ability to have time with his family again. Like he
yeah.
found a whole new position where it's like, even though it was hard to leave that behind,
Mm-hmm.
found a new position that now he's much more fulfilled in his life and he's there with his family and he's
That,
appreciated for his efforts and it's not
that's
falling on deaf ears.
well,
So,
that's beautiful. And in life, and sometimes in order to receive, we have to empty our hands, right? So if your hands are full of
true.
stuff, God's not may not bless you. It's like, no,
Mhm.
my son, my daughter, you have to let that go.
Mhm.
Right?
That's really
And
nice.
that takes faith, that takes courage. But I like that. I wish there were more people who were like that,
Hmm.
being
And then
martyrs.
something I do offer, I don't know if listeners would be interested, but there's
Mhm.
something I have called like a courageous calling quiz
Mm.
where it's looking at it could be anywhere from how much is fear making decisions for me, how much is anxiety running my life, to what are the things I could step into, whether it's with career or relationships. What would it look like for me to be courageous in these areas? And
Mm.
it kind of gives you a score. So you're able to see and evaluate for yourself what's your level of faith running your life, courage running your life compared to fear or anxiety running
Yes.
your life. And it gives you like a path forward to make those changes as well.
That sounds good. If you we're gonna drop the link. We'll get that from you and put it in the show notes for those who are checking us out on Spotify or Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts
I'd
or
be
any
happy to
other
share that.
streaming network. So yeah, we'll definitely add that and also how to reach you. So for those who are listening and like, I like this guy. He seems straightforward, um, good heart, and you're ready for change. How do our listeners reach you, Eric?
Yeah, I'll make it really simple. Probably the best way is to go to my website, havefaith.co.co.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
Havefaith.co.co.
And then, so if you go to havefaith.co,
Mm-hmm.
then you're able to see the quiz on there. You'll be able to read about the Faith Over Fear program. You'll be able to see everything that's on there, how I could work with you. And they'll see some free resources as well. There's some PDFs I provide as a helpful guide to if you want to do a deep dive into where you're at today.
Love it. That's awesome. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for this conversation. I appreciate it.
My
Like I said,
pleasure. Thank you for having me, Dr. Mitchell.
yeah, I appreciate it. And as a also parent to two little princesses, I can
Yeah, how cool is that? Thanks for sharing about your life too. I feel
yeah,
like I
no,
can
my
fulfill with you.
pleasure. We just have to be patient with them, those little sweet people. Yeah, I grew up with three
Yes.
brothers, so
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was not the pampered only child. I had to go out there and dig weeds, pull plants, plant trees till 10 at night
Wow.
with a light, and then come in and cook. So I had the best of
Wow.
both worlds. I got to, yeah, and
Real.
paint, paint, pick fences. I hated those painting fences in the summer. That was the worst.
Yes, all that heat. Wow. But yeah, look how strong you are from all that.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
life is
Oh
I
my
had a
goodness.
choice. I either crumble under my brother's torment, I mean, life's challenges, or thrive. I was able to find balance, right? I'm a girly girl despite growing up with
Oh, cool.
three very, very strong-headed brothers.
Wow.
Okay.
You're
Anyway,
a strong
miracles
lady.
can happen, changes can
Yeah,
happen.
amen.
It all starts with us, our desire to our belief that there can be change just needs to be 1% more than that fear,
Hmm.
right? You don't have to
Yeah.
be like, oh, I got this. No, you just need to take that step forward in faith, get the resources, start doing the work. Faith without work is
Exactly.
dead. You're just dreaming, but you
Hmm.
have to do the work, people.
Yeah. One more thing I forgot to mention was
Yeah,
just if somebody wants to be able to actually really connect with me and see what it's like in a conversation, I can get to know specifically what they're going through. They can do what's called like a discovery call or like
uh-huh.
a discovery session with me. And I put some time specifically on my calendar and open that up so that I can meet and talk with 5 people that could listen to this and be able to find those spots to help them with whatever they're going through today.
That's beautiful. Definitely. We'll have all the links for the discovery session with you. And for our listeners again, thanks again for sharing your most precious
My
resource with
pleasure.
us. Yeah, your time. I don't take it for granted because we're busy. I know you're busy,
Hmm.
Eric. I know I'm busy.
Yes, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you so much for your time too.
I
What a
think
pleasure to be here with you.
everyone have a blessed day. Until next time, this is your host, Dr. Tomi Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show.